Now, I'm pleased to welcome Megan Bailey from the Farm Safety Foundation to the studio. Megan, a very good afternoon. You and I were just talking off camera. This is type 2 fun, isn't it? You'll enjoy it when it's done. But tell us a little bit about the Farm Safety Foundation for those who don't know about it.
Yeah, so the Farm Safety Foundation, or Yellow Wellies as many people know us, are a small independent charity. We're based in Stratford-upon-Avon in Warwickshire. We were actually originally set up by NFU Mutual, but we are an independent charity. And the aim of the charity is to really challenge and change the risk-taking behaviours, but also poor attitude towards farm safety and mental health. And we work predominantly with the next generation of farmers, so really anyone in the industry below the age of 40. And we're also the charity behind the 2 national campaigns. So we've got Farm Safety Week, which is coming up.
Well, let's come to those in a second, and let's just unpack that a little bit, shall we? So we still don't have a record we can be proud of in our industry for safety. So, we still have, what are we, 1% of the UK working population,
right.
and quite a lot of fatalities, I think.
Yeah, so there's just under 471,000 people in the UK who work within agriculture, so it is only 1% of the workforce, but it is the highest, it has the poorest safety record of any occupation in the UK. So it's not something that we're proud of as an industry, and something that's really important that we do change.
And from my perspective, the numbers are coming down, but they're coming down in line with every other industry, and we're still, in that unfortunate gold medal position. Construction has made some really big changes, which perhaps we haven't. Would you agree with that? Or?
So we carry out a lot of research as a charity, so we've been able to track any changes in those fatalities over the years as well. And obviously for us in particular, working with that next generation, we have seen a decline since the charity was set up 10 years ago, in particular in the number of those younger generation who are losing their lives on farm. So for us, that's really positive, and we hope that their attitudes towards farm safety are improving, and then it will bring down that fatality rate.
I mean, it's a reoccurring theme for us in the show, is to talk about mental health and to talk about safety, because we collectively need to take ownership of our industry and move it forward. But let's take a step back and tell me a little bit about yourself. So how come you're doing this? What's your background?
So my background is both within education, but also very heavily within the National Federation of Young Farmers. So I'm very proud to be a young farmer still, just coming out of it now, just out of age. But it's really taught me so many skills, and actually when I came out of my teaching role, this role at Yellow Wellies was just absolutely perfect for me. So I'm very much involved in the education that we deliver as a charity. We train agricultural students in land-based colleges right across the UK between our very small team, so there's actually only 4 of us. And we're training those young people in farm safety, but also that mental health as well, so that they understand what mental health is and how to find support when they need it.
So we were hearing about the new alliance yesterday, which is looking to build on all the good work by yourself and other charities, and actually, this is an area where young generation need to move the dial, don't they? Because our suicide rate in the sector is still tragically high, and anything we can do ahead of the requirement for an intervention, if that makes sense, by education, is really important. And do you find that your customers, if you like, the young farmers, are receptive to the message?
Yeah, I think so, and I think especially within that, we work very closely with NFYC, the National Federation of Young Farmers, and they deliver so much education within mental health to their membership and therefore that wider young farmer audience. And that awareness of mental health, what it is, what it sounds like, but more importantly, what it looks like for a young farmer and how to find that support in their area is so crucial. So I think a huge part of it is education and understanding what they need to do if they do need support, and finding it at the right time.
And it's sort of relentless education, isn't it? It's not like my maths O-level GCSE, which I've forgotten all about, that I was taught once. This is something that we need to keep hammering that message home with people. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so. I think definitely the education route is really important, and I think so much of it is knowing where the support is. So as a charity, we've actually produced our little book of Minds in Your Head, and it's got a full directory of all the different charities and support groups all over the UK, because there are so many of them who deliver tailored support to those people within the agricultural industries, so that when you do pick up the phone to them, they know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely. So we touched on your involvement in the Agri Wellbeing Alliance yesterday when we had the the three, Sam and Jill and David on from the Alliance. And actually that accidental counsellor is something that we talked about with them, that, you know, people who visit farms on a regular basis and are quite a good barometer for, you know, how sort of mental health well-being for, you know, their customers, clients, friends, what have you, that they see. So I assume your support there is helping, giving them the tools to deal with those interactions?
Yes, and I think there are so many different people who do go down that farm drive, who farmers may open up to at some point, and same with a young farmer as well. You might always think that it's someone close to you who you might open up to, but equally speaking to a stranger can be just as beneficial when you don't want that person to know who you are, but you want them to be able to listen to you.
It's really interesting. But so rather naively, I said that, you know, perhaps, you know, this will be less of an issue as we have, you know, a younger generation coming through. But I was reminded that the sort of farming is quite an intergenerational business, and a lot of people perhaps learn their behaviours from the generation above them. So actually, the mental health shadow might still be as relevant with your cohort of young farmers as with the older ones.
Possibly, but we see a really good positivity from that younger generation, who obviously we work very closely with. So we know that they're taking those positive attitudes that they've learnt through their education, but also that wider interaction as a young farmer as well. And they're then applying that in their home businesses, and their family are then taking those messages on as well.
That's fantastic. So we touched on, you've got a couple of initiatives this year. The first one I think is in February, isn't it? So
Yes.
Tell me about that, actually.
So we've got Farm Safety Week, which is one of our national campaigns that takes place from the 21st to the 25th of July. But our other national campaign, which is coming up very soon, which is the 10th to the 14th of February, focusing on mental health, and that's Mind Your Head.
I love that name. I think that the meeting to decide the name for that was a really successful one. And what can people expect to see at the Mind Your Head week?
So as we get closer to the event, there'll be a sort of toolkit that is released, so people who want to get involved can have that information for them as well. But I suggest anybody that does want to get involved with that to follow us on social media, because they'll find all the information.
Well, they can visit you on social media, but they can also come down and see your stand here.
Too,
So,
yes,
where are you in this amazingly 700 exhibitor strong cohort here?
So we're in Hall 20, we're stand 500.
Right.
So it's Farm Safety Foundation, and we've got a new and exciting offering on our stand.
And that's just
this year.
that way, isn't it?
Just that
yeah,
way, yes.
Exactly, which isn't going to help you at home, but it. So in terms of what are you offering visitors who actually come and physically see you today?
So at LAMMA this year, we've launched our new virtual reality headsets, and these are very much focusing on eye protection. So the user, once they put on the headset, it will talk them through 3 different scenarios. Typical jobs that you might be doing on farm, where it's important to wear the proper PPE to protect your eyesight. We know that eye injuries can happen so easily on farm, and it's really showing them the importance of how simple it can be to put on that PPE, and it can make all the difference.
You know, we've talked quite a bit about mental health, but now about sort of physical health and safety. You know, stuff like that. You know, I'm reminded constantly at LAMMA about, we're almost a tech business now, aren't we? A tech industry. And actually having that virtual reality, I imagine people put that, you know, when they take it off, they're a little bit stunned at how real it is. Is that fair? Or?
Yeah, definitely. And actually we've had a few comments throughout that people using it saying like, oh, are you sure this is realistic? Because they're within the situation, but they think, oh, that wouldn't happen to me. But this tool was actually developed off the back of one of our fantastic farm safety ambassadors. So Ryan Taggart, who is a young farmer from Northern Ireland, he was carrying out a job on farm and had a serious eye injury, which led to loss of sight in one of his eyes. So he's a very young person, and we share his stories at the colleges that we go out to. And it's a really impactful story on the students. So we thought to develop this further to really immerse them in that story and understand just how easily it can happen to anybody and how simple it is to prevent it.
So the virtual reality, you know, story is actually a true story.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, that's
yes.
pretty sobering, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. I imagine when people know that, they really, you know, are sort of looking fairly sort of stunned.
Yeah, and there's so many people over the show yesterday and this morning who have talked about injuries that have happened so quickly to them in terms of their vision, which could have been so easily prevented. So.
I think it's really clear just walking around, you know, if we go 20 yards off our wonderful studio here, you know, these are enormous bits of kit that have, you know, really considerable kinetic energy when they're moving, and, you know, can be, really, really quite dangerous. And I think, everybody talks about health and safety and being vigilant, but if you can reinforce that message at a young stage, surely that's absolutely wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, to be able to pass on that message. But with your eyesight in particular, I mean, your eyes are one of the most important organs in the body, but they're also one of the most delicate and susceptible to injury. So something just as simple as picking up those pair of safety goggles, which takes 2 seconds to do, can mean the difference between you going home safely or with serious damage to your eyesight.
And I suppose part of our challenge, and it's the same with mental health, is that quite a lot of the people in our industry work on their own, and actually, hey, just pop your glasses on can't really happen because they're not in a, and that's another which you, on a building site, which you talked about earlier, everybody is looking out for everybody else. But if you're 1 or 2 people in a huge 500,000 acre farm, then that doesn't happen.
Yes, that's right. We've actually been asking visitors to our stand to complete a survey about their attitudes towards wearing eye protection. And when we've asked them about what would encourage you to wear eye protection in the future, so many of them have said, if a friend or a family member or myself had an injury to myself, then I would do it. It's too late. We can't rely on luck to avoid having a farm accident. We need to have that foresight to think, what can I do right now to stop that from happening?
Also, I think, I'm old enough to remember the sort of first generation of eye protection, and they weren't very good. I mean, they did the job, but they were clumsy. But now modern glasses are, they're not an encumbrance to wear. They don't scratch like the others used to. So, people just need to hammer, that message needs to be hammered home. So, one blinded person's too many, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And in terms of the charity as a whole, you said you're quite small. You're covering an awful lot of ground. Is there 4 of you? Did you say?
Yes, there's 4 of us. Yes.
Okay, so do you interact? We talked about the Agri Wellbeing Alliance. What other sort of stakeholders and charities do you work with?
So we focus on both farm safety and mental health. We're actually the only organisation that sits on all farm safety partnerships throughout the UK. So we have a really good understanding of farm safety within the UK as a whole. And it's really important for us to be able to learn those sort of issues for ourselves across the UK, but also contribute to improving them as well.
And so you're across the UK, and all the young farmers, groups around the country, do they have reps who you liaise with? Is that?
Yes, some of them do. So through NFYFC, which is England and Wales, we train YFC trainers in our farm safety and also Mind Your Heads modules, and they can deliver them to their membership as a weekly club night. So it's a fantastic initiative, and it means that our messages are getting delivered by a peer to the membership, and they then take it really seriously because it's that role model of delivering that message to their members.
And this goes back to what does good look like, and if there is someone who you look up to who is displaying good behaviours when it comes to health and safety, then absolutely. Can we talk a little bit more about the Farm Safety Week? It's July, isn't it? 21st?
Yes, that's right. Yes, 21st to 25th.
And what would we expect to see happening around the country there?
So there's lots of opportunities to get involved. I'm afraid I can't give away any secrets.
Oh,
so you have to wait
spoilers.
And see. No spoilers. But there's different ways you can get involved. And as I said, I think the best way to get involved and find out what we're doing is to stay in touch with our social media and the website as well.
Yeah, so the Yellow Wellies Farm Safety Foundation.
That's it, at Yellow Wellies UK.
They can find you there, okay. So what's, other than your fantastic stand, what's been your favourite bit of the of LAMMA 25?
I think just seeing all the big machinery and the new exciting things that are coming into the industry, and most importantly, and something I always love about LAMMA, is people catching up with one another, just that opportunity to get away from the farm, step away from work and have that conversation.
Well, it's a massive community, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And I was smiling earlier that a group of lads in Polish hoodies with a stag do on it. You saw them.
Come to do our VR.
Have they? Right, I thought they wanted it. So they're not going out, to Blackpool or anything. They're going to go and look at really big bits of kit and
do the things they love.
And do the things they love, which is really cool. So you're actually quite local, you said, if you're Stratford.
Yes, not far away. Yes.
So you actually haven't got the monster journey that lots of people have.
Not too bad.
Which is good. Were you at LAMMA last year as well?
Yes, we were. Yes, yeah. We actually had a different virtual reality experience last year, which was all about hazard spotting, and it's amazing how quickly the technology updates over time.
Okay,
This is, as I said, it's a new thing this year that we've been able to launch at the show.
And is the plan that you focus on a different health and safety aspect, injury aspect every year, or is that just how it happens?
I think we're very research driven as a charity, so if there's something in particular that we want to focus on, we've got that sort of avenue to be able to go down that route and explore it further.
Yeah, no, I like that, and I think going back to your earlier point about this being a real live example of an injury that's happened to remember. I mean, that's if anything makes people put glasses on, it must be that.
Yeah, that engagement is really important for us, and the VR is fantastic for engaging with a younger audience, but also a wider audience that might be at the shows as well.
So the team of 4, are you all? I mean, you're from a sort of mixed teaching and farming background, which is you nicely come across it. How about the others? Are they similarly sort of farming and teaching, or?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so we've got a very varied background, sort of farming, fishing, and mainly sort of everyone's got that love of farming and the farming industry, which is fantastic because I think for us, especially working for a charity, it's so important that you're passionate about what you're doing. We all get on so well and work really well as a team, which is just such a lovely job to have.
Well, that's always very nice to hear. You did have to say that because you're on live telly. So I also can tell that you really mean it as well, which is nice. I know some of them have stood over behind me, so you really had no option other than to say that. I had the Kermit from Farming Simulator on earlier, and I've never played it. And one of the things I didn't know is that there's a lot of product placement within Farming Simulator, including Farmer's Guardian and lots of machinery. Is that something that you would think about? Because actually having a little Yellow Wellies element of that virtual reality world might be, a really useful thing.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, possibilities for VR are endless, really. So yeah, it's always great to work with other partners who, obviously, as I said, we're very small as a charity. So working with other organisations and individuals who can help us to raise that awareness and change the poor attitudes towards farm safety.
Because it is about awareness, isn't it? And if
Absolutely.
people, Yellow Wellies, what's that? And if someone, it's such a catchy logo and a catchy name that you go on the website, you see that. I mean, I had a really good look before we came on air, and apart from the really sobering statistics which we talked about, it's as I say, really catchy. So just to remind everybody, you've got the Farm Safety Week on the 21st to 25th of July, but coming up in a couple of weeks, actually, is Mind Your Head campaign. It's 10th to 14th of February. And you're spanning over Valentine's Day, which I don't think is an accident, is it?
No. So yeah, we've got lots of activities planned for Farm Safety Week, Mind Your Head. So yeah, again, don't want to give too many spoilers.
Can we give any spoilers, bearing in mind that no, we can't? Oh, right, okay.
I'll let you find out in the future.
Right, okay. So really, that's going to be on social media, and that'll be sort of hitting people's sort of virtual doormats.
Yeah, but if anybody would like to sign up for the toolkit, they just need to visit our website, and it's all available through there.
Yes, and let's, if we can just, you touched on it before, but what exactly can they see in that toolkit? What sort of things are in there in terms of, helping those accidental counsellors or young members of farming families? So the toolkit itself is focusing on the campaign and how they can get involved with sharing our content and engaging with those stories. But if they're after sort of mental health advice and information in particular, that's also available through our website as well. We've got our little book of Minds in Your Heads, but also our new little book of Farm Safety as well, which is full of all that information that we deliver as part of our training, but also they need within that wider career as well. And it's in easily digestible chunks for people. That's right, yes. It's written in plain English. It's written specifically for the UK's farming industry about what mental health looks like, what it sounds like, and how to find support. Brilliant. Well, that strikes me as a really good note to finish on. But before I leave, if you just want to hit those social media sites again. So where can people find you? So we're at Yellow Wellies UK on Instagram, Facebook and X. And we're yellowwellies.org. Online. So bit of a mouthful, but yellowwellies.org is the place. Right. Absolutely fantastic. So thank you to Megan for joining us.